figured I would do some streaming because it's a Sunday and I've got some time. But I'm probably not going to start off playing StarCraft because I don't think I'm going to play StarCraft very well, so instead I thought I would do something a bit different. Going to look at a TvP game that I saw earlier this week and make some observations. So I'm going to do that first, then I thought maybe I might cast some replays of games against Blackman, then maybe some StarCraft to follow up. So with that said, here we go. So yeah, I spent most of this week in a hotel room in Dallas because I was traveling for work, and watched some Artosis stream, and this is a game that he said, or he implied, was just like TvP being like broken, unwinnable. And watching it, I had quite a different reaction to the game, so I thought I would use it as a case study because I think it's quite interesting. Just going to zoom through the start. Not much is happening yet. He's going for a gasless CC, which is perfectly acceptable. It's a reasonable way to start. Executing his build decently enough. He's not doing any mineral boosting or lining up his SCVs to optimize. Not boosting the top one manually, but these are some slightly more advanced techniques that not everybody does. And that's fine. I mean, he's hitting his timings. And it's cross map, so far so good. The first few minutes is actually, probably not that important for this, because, I mean, he's going to know the first few minutes of the opening better than I do. Skip forward just a little bit. Okay, we've got the Dragoon confirms the CC. Dragoon knows the timing, it's got range. Going to start casually attacking things. So at this point, we know it's cross map. We know the Protoss has gone range first, but we don't know anything else. He could have gone into a quick third, he could have gone into like a 2-base tech, he could have gone like robo first. We don't actually know unless we scouted it. I missed it. But it's not like a super fast tech rush because we know he's got range. He's just being difficult here, just causing some trouble. The main thing Terran needs to do is not lose any tanks, just so that they cause an end to the Dragoon harass. I like the comsat and the armory combo. I think that's better than eBay for this spot because we know Dragoon range, so it's not going to be like the fastest possible shuttle with speed. Yeah, that combos nicely with the siege because you have to rush siege, then you're not going to be using mines or shit like that for defending against DTs. I mean, this is all fine. This is perfectly acceptable. Now we have our scans. Okay, so we can see that he's going for a 2-gate observatory with a delayed support bay. It's not a Reaver rush. At this point, he almost certainly has the third base. We should know that, just because otherwise there would be a third gateway. We don't know exactly where the third base is. It's probably close, but we know it has to exist. Vultures with double upgrades. I like that a lot as well. That's good to get some map presence out, just to see what's going on. And building our tanks. Startup +1. We've got our Vax floated to get us vision behind our natural. It's 7 minutes, so I mean there should be observers inside our base now. We need to be playing as if there are observers with vision, but it's and we're fine. This is good. The question is, what's going to be our plan next, knowing that it's cross position? Okay, we identified there's a third. That's what we're expecting. Let's see if we can find it. See if there's a fourth. No fourth yet, so we can't push cross position against this, obviously. He's got 3 bases, but he's not been too greedy. So we have to be going into just upgrades and expansion. I'm going to pause that scene and talk about that a little bit, because now we're getting into the actual analysis part. So pushing cross position on 2 bases against a 3-base Protoss is not going to go especially well, especially if they have an observer inside your base, which this guy must have at this point in the time. So if Artosis were to lay down like 7 more factories here, and what would happen is the Protoss would add a bunch of gateways. And we saw that as a support bay, he's going to be able to buy time with Reavers for a long time, he's going to be able to do counter Reaver drops. We're not going to have a good time doing a cross position push here. So you really have to think about it in terms of what assets do you have, what assets does the opponent have. If I do X, what will they do? In this case, if he goes for a bunch of factories and starts to push, he's got a long way to push against somebody who's going to be buying time with Speed Shuttle Reaver. Potentially doing counter drops with Speed Shuttle Reaver. The guy hasn't been too greedy, so there really isn't any upside to that. The correct play here in terms of getting to a win condition is not any kind of early punish. You're not trying to get across the map and punish anything that's too greedy, because there is nothing too greedy. And they had the ability to interfere with that quite heavily. So the correct play here is just to continue the upgrades and take a third. But we can establish that by thinking about the fact that we saw the support bay with our first scan. Thinking about that we confirmed that there's no 4th base with the vultures. And that's one of the reasons why the vultures on the map is so important, because it allows us to identify what it is that we need to be doing. So I like that. Good play so far. We are correctly identifying what the Protoss has, what the Protoss can do, what the Protoss doesn't have, what the Protoss can't do. Okay, Protoss is clearing his 4th base, and it looks like a shuttle or something just flew towards our 3rd. Protoss taking the 4th base at this point wouldn't be excessively greedy. They do have, I mean, a lot of the reasons why we couldn't do a quick push against a 4 base before are still going to apply now. So our plan is unchanged. We need to take a 3rd. And we need to get upgrade, and that's exactly what we're doing. Yeah, I like this a lot. This is solid play. Okay, we do another scan in the main, and we see that there are still only like 4 gateways. So Protoss is not being like crazy greedy, but he's being greedy. But just because of the map layout and because of the fact that he has Speed Shuttle with Reavers, there's not as much punish as we could like. I mean, we don't have the factories to punish it ourselves anyway. We could try adding factories, but at this point, if we add a bunch of factories, he'll add a bunch of gateways around the same time. If we already had the factories, it might be a different story, but we don't. Okay, we're confirming the 4th nexus, but 3 base against 4 is completely fine. And I mean, we're hitting our timings. We've already got +1. We're going into 2-1. This is a perfectly acceptable place to be. Pushing out to try and take our 4th. Only thing the Protoss really has at the moment that could interfere with that is Reavers, so we just need to be making sure that we're not giving away tanks for free. Make sure that we stagger them forwards. I think I mean, it's still basically fine here. I'm happy with this. I like the Wraith too. The Wraith's a nice touch because you don't want to be trying to just like push out to take your 3rd while also dealing with shuttle backstabs. Up to 6 factory. Spending our money. STV count seems good. Yeah, so there was always a observer in our base. So that's something that we should have dealt with earlier, actually. Around 7 minutes when I was saying there's got to be an observer in our base just because we know he opened 2-gate robo. And it's 7 minutes in the game and the turret ring wasn't up. Because he went for double factory, double machine shop, 2 siege tanks and siege mode early on. The eBay was delayed for the academy. So there was always going to be an observer inside our base. Once we had a scan that was free, so we needed to like keep 1 scan just in case like a DT drop, but once we had a spare scan, we should have scanned for that observer inside our main base, just because it gives the Protoss so much value. And this is something that like I'm saying, approaching the matchup as a Protoss player, think about the things that are important to me, which Terran players who haven't played as much PvT might not know. But like, we hate it when you kill the observer inside your base. We hate that so much. It's because once the turret rings up, you can't get another one in. And that observer, that tells you when the mines go down for the recalls. It tells you all the timings. It tells you if it's going to be like a 1-1 or a going to a 3-2. It tells you when they drop the CC to float it out. It is the easiest game ever if that you get the observer inside, they don't kill it. But if they kill it, I mean, you suddenly have to be good at the game. So the fact that the observer made it until 11 minutes is... It probably would have made it longer. It actually flew into a turret and revealed itself, but that should have been taken care of. You can just kill that with the Marines or a Goliath once you get a spare scan. And you basically know where it's going to be. It's going to be in the middle. This is a nice play. It's a speed shadow, but the moving shots are solid. Reaver gets out, which is, I mean, it's not ideal, but the Reaver's basically useless on the ground. We're happy with that. Still hitting our benchmarks. I mean, we're in a fine position here. This is a strong game so far from the Terran. He's got good vultures. Okay. This is the point I wanted to see. So he's got vulture at 12, vulture at top right. He knows that his opponent's not taking corners. He knows his opponent is on 4 base, and then he scans and he sees that it's mass gateway. He sees there's no Stargate. He sees that like, the archives is only now being built. So this Protoss is telling us that he is going to max out at about 12 minutes, and he's going to make a move. He has like opened up chat and he has typed that to us. He said, "I don't really have a late game plan. If this goes like to like 15 minutes, I don't really have any strategy for dealing with like 3-2 Terran. I don't have one of those. My carrier timing is I don't have a carrier timing. My arbiter timing is I'm going to have arbiters around like 18 minutes. This is not an arbiter rush. What I am going to do is use my 4 bases to make like 12 gateways, and then I'm going to max out. I'm going to throw in some speed shadows, but the main thing is I'm going to max out, and I'm going to max out faster than you." So this Protoss doesn't have a plan to beat 200 supply Terran with 200 supply Protoss. He can't do that. He's not going to be able to do that. What he does have a plan for is to beat like 130 supply Terran with 200 supply Protoss. And his plan is to get to 200 supply while the Terran is still on 130. It's a gateway timing. And we've scanned the gateway timing, so we know that at like 12 minutes this Protoss has to attack us. Because at 12 minutes he's going to be maxed out, he's not going to be getting any stronger. Every second that goes by, the Terran's going to have more tanks, more vultures, more mines, more upgrades. And the Protoss army will be stuck. The Protoss money will be building up, his bank will be building up, but he doesn't actually have any way of playing his way out of the 12-minute situation if he doesn't get that engagement he's looking for. And we've scanned it, we've seen it, we've seen the gateways have come in early, we've seen that there's no additional bases. Maybe he has like bottom left third, the one at like 8 o'clock, but we've seen that there's no arbiters. So if we can just bring this game to a 3-2 mech 200-200 situation as Terran, we will be able to trade so efficiently that the one army will be able to defeat infinite Protoss. But what we can't do is give him that engagement, give him the trade he's looking for. Because if he gets to 200-200 and then throws away 70 supplies to kill like 50 of our supply, well then he can use his money, he can remax, and he can remax faster than us. So he'll just bash us down again and again and again. We can't give him the fight. Not until we've got our upgrades, not until we have our supply. And we've scanned it. The scans were absolutely perfect. They were on time, and they have identified the Protoss's commitment. He's going for this 12-minute max out and attack. Looks like he's also want to secure the top right. That makes sense, but like the top right will give him like a bit more money, but it won't actually change the fact that he's on gateways. It won't change the fact that he doesn't have arbiters. It won't change the fact that like even with double forge, Protoss is not strong enough to beat upgraded Terran. So this is the problem right here, is that the Protoss has communicated to us that he is looking for a 12-minute timing attack where he is just maxed out, he's got speed shuttles, and he just runs at us with everything he has, and he gets the trade. Doesn't even need to be a good trade, it just needs to be like not the worst trade ever. Just needs to bring down the Terran army and also bring down the Protoss supply so Protoss can remax so that he can take the second trade and the third trade and the fourth trade. So what Terran needs to be doing is locking down in the most defensive posture possible. Because for the next, from like minutes like 12 through 13 and a half, Protoss doesn't get any stronger at all. He's got like 12 gateways, but they're all offline. They're not building anything because he's maxed out. He's got like forges, but you don't care about Protoss forges. He hasn't already established a corner. This Protoss is at his power spike right this second, and he must take an engagement. And we've scanned it. We know that's true because we saw the gateways, because we saw there was no Stargate, we saw there was no Arbiter Tribunal, we saw that the core wasn't spinning. We know what the Protoss's win condition is, and we need to deny that. So this move here, where the Terran is moving out onto the map, this is absolutely incomprehensible as a Protoss player to see somebody do this, because this is the gift. The Protoss needs this. Protoss has thrown himself all in. The only way he can win is if he gets a big donation at 12 minutes from a Terran army that's too far forwards and is down in supply. If the Terran, if he tries to take the fight when he's even on supply, it can't be done. The fight has to happen now. This is the only fight Protoss can win. And I mean, here the fight comes. There was no excuse for being on the map at this particular timing as Terran. He wasn't like so far on the map, but he didn't need to be on the map at all. He could have had all of his tanks just defending the point between his natural and his third. So there was the bridges and have floating buildings. They have mines. It's because we've gone down 40 supply, so we've gone down maybe like 30 supply. Protoss has gone down maybe like 50 supply, but the point is that Protoss likes that trade because he's going to remax again instantly, and then he can do it again. By the time that Terran's back up at 140, Protoss is 200, 200, does it again, and again, and again, and again. It wasn't like a rout. Terran doesn't feel like he got massacred, but it was enough. Okay, we also know the Protoss is taking the top right. They have to be, so what are we going to do about that? Can we push the top right? No, we cannot. Why? Because we are not 200, 200. The Protoss is going to go to 200, 200. We cannot get out of the map and do anything about it. But at the same time, I mean, we can drop like some tanks. We can drop some Goliaths. We can fuck with it. What we can't do is take fights out on the map like a tool. Because again, we're still at now we're at 140. He's going to be remaxed. The first fight that went like kind of okay for the Protoss, wasn't a massacre, but it was like a little bit. That was enough to set up the second fight. So I'm expecting in a second the Protoss to just go again, because he has to, because he's on gateways. So I mean, you know, that's the thing, as a Protoss, you know this is going to happen. You know he's going to go and keep going because he has to get the trades. Because what's he going to do? Recall the main? He doesn't have arbiters. What's he going to do? Carry a switch? He doesn't have Stargates. He doesn't have air upgrades. He can't do it. What's he going to do? Wait for the Terran to get his upgrades? I mean, he can try, but waiting for Terran to get their upgrades is gonna end badly for him. He has to take fights at these timings, and we're giving him a fight. This is such a gift. We're at 130 supply. He's at 200. We cannot make this move. We can never, ever make this particular move, because what's going to happen is 200 supply of Protoss is going to run into our split army, and it's going to wipe us out, and we're not going to ever hit our 200, 200. We had our entire game plan here was to use upgrades and slowly max out so that the Protoss gateway units fall off. But what's our 200-200 timing here? It's 15 minutes, we're at 140. We're going to lose a bunch of units again. And this is such a gift to the Protoss, because the only ability the Protoss has is to remax 200-200 faster than we can. But if he gets to 200-200, he doesn't have a fight. If there's nothing for him to kill, nothing for him to trade away his units for, then he's just going to be banking up money that doesn't do anything. He's just going to have idle gateways. He doesn't have any value from that. The only plays he can make are plays in which he gets trades. And he's being fed trades. Terran's back down to 120 supply. Protoss is going to go back up to 200-200 to do it a third time. And a fourth time. And as many times as he needs. So this is just, the plan is out of alignment here. The Terran's plan early game was to get the upgrades, get the critical mass, and to push out and just do a unstoppable push with 200 supply. But if you look at the actual execution, the Terran has no desire to go to 200 supply. He keeps voluntarily moving out onto the map at like 140 and taking these trades against a Protoss that is at the Protoss' absolute apex of their power. It is like a complete anti-timing. And it's so voluntary is the thing that really gets me. Is there's no pressure to do this. It's not like he's under the gun on a like carrier switch timing. It's not like the Protoss is like hitting him with some kind of really quick tech rush. This is completely unforced. He's 140 supply trying to take 3 o'clock. Why do you need to try and take 3 o'clock? Take it later. Like, who's forcing you to take 3 o'clock right now? He's at 140 supply again, and he's pushing again. There is absolutely no upside to being on the map when you are 140 supply against 200 supply TvP, and they don't have any tech timings following up. They can only win through getting trades where they outnumber you. You don't give them the trades where your army is split up and they fight a small portion of your army. They can't ever win. And it just continues like this for a while. This is just the same. Like, so I'm not going to like harp on it too much. We've seen the exact same mistake be made 4 times. He makes it another 4 times before the game's over, and then says that it's unwinnable. But the Protoss was effectively all in. The Protoss had created a situation in which he had to get a good trade at 12 minutes, and then like a good trade at 12:30, and a good trade at like 13:30, in order to keep the Terran from ever hitting the 200-200 3-2. He had to. He had no 5th base, he had no corner, he had no arbiters, he had no stargates. All he had was a bunch of gateways and a 12-minute max timing with some speed shuttles. So if that doesn't win the game as Protoss, he's lost. And it's an interesting game because the scan at 11:15 or whatever on the Protoss base and then the Protoss natural saw everything. All of the information was there. The Protoss, he had cards face up on the table saying, this is my timing. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm looking for this exact trade. And the Terran player just needs to, at that point, think about the game and think, okay, this is what is the Protoss telling me? What is the Protoss' plan to win? How do I disrupt that? Yeah, that was a game that I caught in the hotel room that I thought was interesting. Okay.